Hi everyone, welcome to the first Shauna Stitches podcast. I'm so excited to finally be filming and have you watching. You can find me as Shauna825, that's the numbers 825, on Ravelry.com. You can find me as the Shauna Stitches group on podcast and also as Shauna Stitches on Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel, obviously, if you're watching this there, and it is also called Shauna Stitches. All of the links to my other groups and where you can find me will be on the YouTube channel as well as on the Ravelry group. In case you're wondering where I'm filming from, I'm on the Oregon coast and about an hour and a half away from Portland and a half hour away from Astoria, if you're familiar with those areas. A little bit about me, I started knitting when I was about 5. My mom showed me how to knit, and not that I was very good at it, but that's something that I've always liked to do. Never really did any projects. And then fast forward to 2nd grade, probably 7 years old, I learned to cross stitch. I did that for several years, kind of dropped it as a teenager, and then picked it back up when I was 18 and did that for probably a decade or so, and then wanted to try something else. I picked up knitting for a very short time, found it too fiddly with the 2 needles, and then I switched back to, I learned to crochet, and that's something I've done for like 6 years now, I believe, and then I really just wanted to do something else. I got kind of bored with it, and I picked up knitting, and I've been knitting projects since February of this year, so about 5 months. I feel like I've learned a lot and really come a long way. One of the things that really inspired me to do this podcast was watching other podcasters. I really enjoy that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, some of the podcasts that I enjoy and some of the ones that I watch every week. Very first thing to talk about are some finished projects, and since I have been knitting since February, I do have quite a few to show, but I'd like to start with my cross stitch that I don't really do anymore, but I hear a lot of podcasters talking about that, so I thought I'd show some projects. This might be a bit hard to see with the glare, but that's one of the very first ones I ever did when I was 18, when I picked it back up again. And these 2 are my only 2 actual framed projects. This one I did again right after the other one. I think you're seeing some window glare, but hopefully you can see that. The next one is by far my largest and my favorite project. It's a Christmas cross stitch. It's almost completely fills the entire canvas. And I would say this took me about a year straight. That was the only thing I worked on. But I loved it. Haven't gotten it framed because I got a quote, and I think 10 years ago or so the quote was $250, and that was a lot, so I didn't frame it, especially to have it on the wall for one time of the year. In case you're wondering what I'm drinking, I have my Oregon mug, so you can't forget, from Oregon. And it's just some Starbucks Via, nothing in it, black. My next cross stitch, some little butterflies. And I have a whole little set I did for my kitchen, probably 4 or 5 kitchens ago. I should really hang them up, but I have to get to that. And some geese. And this is one of my favorites. I don't know why, because I don't have cats, but it is one of my favorites. Some little pumpkins, flowers, and a blackwork cat. And the cat's kind of cool because I used some variegated thread, so it's got grays and blacks. Adds a little dimension to it. This one, I think those are irises, but I'm not 100% sure. Some butterflies. parrot. And the last one, I promise, is a little winter alphabet sampler. And this one has actual beads on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but you can see some beads on the snowflakes. So I haven't really picked up cross stitch in a long time. I do have a couple projects that are just laying there. I'm not working on them, but I do enjoy it. I'm just looking at my notes because I have a lot to remember here. Next thing we'll get into are some knitting finished projects. I really wanted to knit socks. That's kind of what got me into knitting in the first place. I just wanted something different. I was making a lot of crochet blankets, and those are very time consuming and large. The first sock I made, or pair of socks I should say, because I do have the second one, are these socks. Made out of Red Heart and Sole yarn in the color Lakehouse, which has got nice blues and purples and tans, brown. I think they came out really well. For my very first sock, I went straight to the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which I find very easy and I like. And I think I'm on like my 5th or 6th pair of socks now, and it's the heel that I use every time. I can't really attest to its long wearingness, but I just like how easy it is to knit. I've almost got it memorized for the most part. And that was done toe up. And then I have this pair, which is my second pair I made, which I did cuff down. And this is using the Premier Yarns Doborah Norville Serenity Sock yarn in the color Violas. Again, Fish Lips Kiss heel, cuff down. And I really do like the way cuff down fits me better. A lot better. I have pretty thin ankles, and still, even when I bind off on the toe up, this part just feels tight. And I've used I think it's the Jenny's stretchy bind off. I don't know, it doesn't matter, it still seems tight. I'm not really sure why. So at the moment I'm preferring cuff down just because I can do a nice loose bind on and it works really well. The next project I finished was a Grocery Girl knit along, excuse me, not crochet along. And I completed the 3-color cashmere shawl. I can't see you, so hopefully you can see that. It's very, very, very large. I'll back up, you can kind of see. It's big. And I've worn this a couple times. I really enjoy wearing it. It came out really well, especially for someone who's new at this. And then and that was knitted using, it's a Hohi Locatelli pattern, and I used Cloudborn Fibers yarns. Obviously 2 different grays and a aqua teal sort of color. I do have some crochet finish objects, however, I don't have them with me. Most of the stuff I made crochet is for gifts for people. The 2 things that I really want to show you guys are the Sophie's Universe, which is a blanket. If you haven't seen that pattern, it's absolutely amazing. They have a new one, or a new version of it out called Sophie's Alternate Universe. I really want to do that one, however, I'm really stuck on knitting right now. But I'll get back to it one of these days. So I did make that Sophie's Universe for a friend. It's completely done in cream yarn. Absolutely gorgeous. She loves it. So I have a picture of her with it. Her name's Amanda. Just in case I can actually figure out how to insert a photo. If not, check out my Ravelry page. I can't say that word. My Ravelry page, and there's a photo of her holding it up there. Also, some more detailed close-up photos where you can really see the intricacy of the stitches. The other one that I did that I really am proud of is the Franco Randall pattern called Rings of Change, which is also photos of that on there. It was a gift, so I don't have it with me. Now I'm going to move on to works in progress, which I have a lot. I can't seem to finish anything right now without starting more things, which I think is a problem a lot of us have. Maybe it's not a problem. First off, and you will hear some crinkling because I have stuff everywhere here. My Cozy Memories blanket, which is very small so far. Looks like I have 18 squares. And some of them are from projects I've done. And like there's the socks, the 2 socks that I did first. These are Bronco colors. My brother's a Broncos fan and I made him a sock yarn hat. This is from the shawl. And then there's just some random ones. Those are from the shawl also. Some others that I have. And I recently joined the Ravelry group Sock Yarn Swappers, which is awesome because they have groups there where you can purchase the yarn and you don't have to actually swap, because I don't have a lot of extras at this point. And that way you can add to your blanket without having to buy a whole entire skein of yarn. I really like it. I've gotten quite a few and I have those, but I'll show them a different podcast. Let's see. Espresso Macchiato Socks. This is actually, it's a book by Almon. She's done 6 sock patterns, either 5 or 6 sock patterns in there, and there's a shawl pattern. And if you're familiar with the Knitting Broomstick podcast, Jilly, also from Oregon, she is doing a knit along for Cece's book. And I finished the first sock, so I have a hoe. And these are the Espresso Macchiato Socks. And it's, I haven't finished the whole pair obviously, but it's one of the first patterned socks I've done. This is a nice easy pattern. Really like it. And the yarn is Ice Yarns Super Sock in the colorway, I wrote it down, it's turquoise, gray, green, shades, blue. They don't come out with nice catchy names, it's just the colors in the pattern. But I like it. It's a, I don't know what you want to call it. Anyway, it's a 75-25, I believe, wool to nylon ratio sock yarn. It's very, I don't want to say cheap. Cheap's not a good word. It's a nice yarn. It's kind of scratchy, but not bad. No worse than anything else I've used, really. But it is not very expensive at all, and which is why I got it. I got a whole bunch of them, actually. I have, they come in packs of 4. I don't remember what the 4-pack price is, but I worked it out with shipping, because shipping looks like a lot. Came to under $5 for 100 grams of yarn, enough to make an entire pair of socks. And I still have a lot left, still working on this one. Anyway, it's very frugal yarn, I guess that's a better word. Because I have this problem, I buy really nice yarns and then I don't want to use them. So I end up using my stuff I didn't pay a lot for. Something I need to get over, I guess. And the problem is, when I started crocheting, I used all acrylic yarn, and acrylic yarn is not very expensive. And I like it. I mean, when it washes up, it's really soft. It's definitely not expensive, and you're buying huge quantities of yarn to do a whole blanket. So that's why, plus I was usually making it for someone that had kids. The washability is great. And then now switching to knitting, I find out that most knitters always use wool yarn, which is fine. I like it. It's a little more difficult to wash. It certainly washes up nice and soft, but I don't know. I just haven't gotten used to spending $25 for a skein of yarn yet. I'm working on it though. I'll get over it because I do love buying it. Let's see. Oh, so also in that same book, Cece's book, these are the French Vanilla Cappuccino Socks. Let me get it on a sock blocker here. And so far her patterns, if you're interested in the book at all, they are very well written. I like that they're written for cuff down or toe up. So it gives some versatility. And there we go. My sock blockers are a little too small, but you get the idea. And this is beautiful yarn. I believe this is, yes, this is Opal Rainforest yarn. And the colorway Uganda Timmy. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but beautiful. I love orange. Orange is one of my favorite colors. And then the third pattern I'm working on currently, because the Knit Along at the Knitting Broomstick podcast, it's all about getting all the patterns finished by the end of the year. Where is my other pattern? Here it is. This is the third one. This is the Coffee Date Shawl, which I haven't gotten very far on. But again, hoping to get it done by the end of the year so I can finish that cowl and get them all submitted. It's really beautiful. I love the different textures. Next up is the Driftwood Socks by Mina. Mina, the Knitting Expat podcast. I'm sure you're all aware of who she is. If you're not, go check her out. I'll talk more about her in my podcast, but I really enjoy watching her. So again, these are the Driftwood socks. And you can see just a little bit of texture right there. Again, in an orangish colorway because I love orange. And these are in, I'm not sure I'm going to say this right, I think it's a Spanish sounding name, Punta Yarns in Mary Sock hand painted. And you guys were right when you say that you just make a mess while you're doing this because there's stuff everywhere. My next work in progress and my last work in progress that I'm going to show is my Budding Bluebell shawl, also by Mina Philipp. I'm really behind on this one. I don't think I'm going to get it done by the due date, if you will. And I feel like the camera's washing that out. But it's a nice variegated blues purple combo. It's a Knit Picks yarn in the colorway Deep Waters. It's Knit Picks Stroll in Deep Waters. And I know the whole design of that was to do 2 different yarns, but I'm just going to do the whole thing in that one color because I like it. Alright, off to my recent purchases. And let's see. Recently I went to Twisted. Twisted is in Portland, which is always fun. I live kind of far away, so I don't get up there very often. This is Knitted Wit Victory Sock in the colorway Creepy Crawlers. There we go. Creepy Crawler, which I think is supposed to be a Minecraft reference. I'm not sure. I'm not a huge Minecraft person, but I know what it is. But I just love those greens and with the black and the gray. Just beautiful. It'll be a great pair of socks when I get over my phobia of using my expensive sock yarn. And this one is a Barocco sock. It does not have a color name, which is kind of sad. It's just color 1413. I haven't really been into greens before, but it was the green that caught my eye in this. I'm loving green. I don't know why. Maybe it was just a green day. And then I went to, this one doesn't have a name on the bag, but this is for, from, I totally forgot the name. For Yarn's Sake, that's where it's from. Yarn's Sake in Beaverton. I got Regia Floromania. Again, this doesn't have a color name. It's called, it's either 07184 or 974. And I think it's the first one. 7184. But it's bright and pretty and orangish. And this one is gorgeous. Mina, if you're watching, this should be on your must-have list. It is Biscotti yarns in the colorway Cupcake. Not only do they have a black cat on their label, but it's definitely Mina's colors. You've got purples and greens and with some gray. It's super soft. I love this. And lastly, This is a yarn I have never heard of, but it's really soft and beautiful. It's called Alegria Manos de Uruguay, and it's in the color Macachines. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's really pretty. And I can't wait to make that into probably socks. I don't know. I have a sock addiction. I'm trying to do the box of socks cal too, but as you see, I have a lot of hose and not a lot of finished objects. I do have one work in progress crochet to show you, just a second. It's already getting pretty large, so it might be difficult to show. There you go. It's going to be a full-size blanket, and it is called Depths of Change by Franco Randall, same person who made the Rings of Change pattern. Most, if not all, of his patterns have the of change name in them. And that is going to be for my nephew, my brother's son. Again, Broncos fans, you can tell by the colors. Okay, and then lastly, I just wanted to talk about some of my favorite podcasts and why they're my favorite, I guess, or who I just love right now. And the first one I have to mention, who I've already mentioned, is Mina. Mina, the first podcast I ever watched, which is exciting, and I think I've watched every single episode. I found you in February of this year, and I had to go back and watch them all. You're the one who really inspired me to do a knitting podcast, because I saw your first ones, which you probably were as nervous as I feel on this one. And I just really enjoy them. I mean, you always have something good to say. Showing your projects. I can't believe how fast you knit. I'm nowhere near that fast, but maybe one day. The second one that I really enjoy watching are the Grocery Girls. I obviously did their knit along for the shawl. And Jody and Tracy, I also just really enjoy you guys. And Jody, I have 2 of your bags. I don't think I showed those, but I have this one, which is beautiful. You do great work. And then I have this one. Love them. And Mina, I guess I should mention also. I have the kitty bag. I like to think that this is Derek or Hugo here, because I don't have cats, but your cats are pretty cute. I love their little ears and the tooth. Another favorite podcast is KT from Inside 23. Very great podcast. I love hearing all about your knitting, even though I'm not a knitter. Your knitting. Yes, I love hearing about your knitting. I love hearing about your sewing, though. I'm not a sewist, and that is really awesome. I wish I could do that, but I really don't have much free time. The free time I do have, I really enjoy my knitting because it's relaxing. Shout out to some local girls, the Naughty Knitwits, Michelle and Leslie from Portland. Hi! We've talked a little bit on Ravelry. I love you guys. And Michelle jumped all over it when I posted my Ravelry group page saying that I needed a link to my YouTube. Well, there will be a link now because I'm actually filming a video. Thanks, Michelle, for your help. I'll probably need more. The Knitting Broomstick, which I've already mentioned, Jilly. She's also in Oregon. I don't know exactly where she is in Oregon, but to my Oregon girls, love ya. And Spicy Homemaker, Melissa, love her. She's just very energetic and fun, and I really enjoy her podcast. Shannon of Sockcetra, also one of my favorites. She's great. And last but not least, because there are others I enjoy, Kristen from Volenvine. I absolutely love your podcast. Again, with the sewing. I think something with the sewing. Maybe it's a long lost calling of mine. Anyway, really excited to have talked to you all. I think the camera says 24 minutes, so I probably have talked very fast, and I'm sorry about that. I'll try and talk slower next time. But yeah, there is something to be said for getting used to talking in front of this camera thing. And it does feel a little strange to be talking to myself for 24 minutes. But thank you for joining me. I promise I will work on my speed if I talk too fast for you. Also, I will have show notes listed in Ravelry. If I said the name of anything too fast or you're confused about anything, ask me some questions. Thanks, guys. Okay, last but not least, I thought you might want to meet my little rugrats. This is Fiona. She's a Chihuahua. Hi, Fiona. Say hi. And then I have another one, Rudy. Come here, Ru. Who wants to run away? This one's Rudy. Hi, Ru. Anyway, they don't really mess with my knitting at all, but I thought you might want to say or see them and say hi.